Hello, everyone. Welcome to the on demand session about accelerate and de-risk your journey to SaaS. My name is Sofia Pacifico, and I'm a service engineer in Microsoft, part of the fast track for Azure ISV and startup team.
And my name is Casey Watson. I'm also a service engineer with the Fast Track for Azure ISV and Startup team here at Microsoft. Hello, Sophia.
Hello, Casey. How are you?
Good.
Perfect. The agenda for today's session, we will introduce the Microsoft program, Fast Track for Azure ISV and Startup. We show through a fictitious company, Fabric and Fitness, the SaaS journey. We will deep dive into the discovery, architecture, review architecture design phases, providing architecture best practices, tenancy model, and value proposition, and also provide some examples about how to sell SaaS. And finally, we will provide some tools and available resources to accelerate your journey to SaaS.
Great. Sophia and I both belong to a group here at Microsoft called Fast Track for Azure ISV and Startups. We were actually part of Azure Engineering, and our job is to work with ISVs like yourself to help accelerate your journey to the Azure cloud. And as part of that, we work with a lot of ISVs that are going from kind of this CapEx world of selling software to a SaaS-based solution. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. We've already helped, our team has already worked with thousands of ISVs around the globe to help bring their solutions to Azure. And as part of today's presentation, as Sophia mentioned, we're going to be walking through a mock engagement. So for this mock engagement, I'm going to be playing the CTO of a company called Fabricam Fitness that is looking to bring their solution to the Azure cloud. And they think that SaaS may be the right option for them.
And I will play in the fast track engineer that will help Fabricam team on the SaaS journey. Hello, Casey. It's a pleasure to work with you today.
Yeah, you as well, Sophia. I'm really interested in learning about the program and hoping that Microsoft can help us out some here.
Yeah, definitely. And let's start on the technical discovery. The first steps about this journey is to understand more about your business, customer, app, key challenges, and future plans. So we can better guide you to make sure that we build the right solution.
Sounds great.
Great. So let's start to understand a little bit more about your business.
Sure. Yeah. So we actually started off as a health club a few years ago, and we were looking for club management software to manage our own health club. And we looked around. We couldn't find any software that met our needs, so we decided to go ahead and build our own. Shortly after we built our own software, we realized there's a lot of other health clubs out there that are having the exact same problem. And then, basically, we are now a software company. So we've gone from being a health club to a software company, and we onboarded 5 clubs in our first 6 months. That grew to 20 clubs in that first year, and we are looking to onboard 100 plus clubs next year. And we are looking at SaaS as a way to hopefully help us solve our scale problem.
Well, great. Thanks a lot for the overview about your business. So now tell me a little bit more about your customers.
Sure. Yeah. So the main thing to understand about our customers is that here at Fabricam Fitness, our customers are always going to be our first priority. Whatever our customers need, we are there to help them out. Whatever customizations they need, we're there to help them out. And we want to make sure that as we scale, we don't lose that customer-focused culture that we built here at Fabricam. The other thing is that all of our customers today are US-based. They're generally going to be smaller clubs with maybe 1 to 5 local locations. We are always going to be busiest in Q1, and it's kind of a funny story. I think it's unique to the industry that we operate in. It's always after people make their New Year's resolutions to get into the health club, get into the gym, and get back in shape. So we're always busiest for those first 3 months of the year. But then after those first 3 months, it's kind of hard to predict. It's kind of all over the place. It may be before work, it may be after work, but as we have locations, our customers have locations all across the country, the traffic is generally pretty spiky. It's hard to predict. And our customers, they're always asking us for ways to better engage with their members the people that are actually coming into the health clubs. So we're looking for opportunities to build things into our software that will make it easier for them to engage with their members as well.
Perfect, Casey. Thanks a lot for all the information that you provide about your customers. Now, I wanted to know more about your app.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is used by the actual health club employees themselves. Generally, they're at the location. It covers pretty much all the major club functions. So workforce scheduling when trainers and employees are going to be coming in, class scheduling for their members, member management, so keeping track of their names, phone numbers, email addresses, that sort of thing, and payment processing. Today, we don't offer our customers any kind of service level agreement, any kind of SLA. But as we move to the cloud, we're looking to go for a 3 nines SLA. We don't actually handle any personal health information, but we do keep track of some personally identifiable information, some PII, like I said a second ago, names, phone numbers, email addresses, that sort of thing. And of course, we want to be very careful with those members' data. The other thing to talk about is the app itself, where it's installed in the actual health club. Sometimes it'll be installed in the health club building itself. Sometimes the health club will have a data center, but the architecture it's really pretty simple. It's an ASP Internet Core MVC app hosted on IIS on Windows Server with a SQL Server database backend. And as far as identity, how users actually authenticate to it, it's ASP Internet Core Identity, where the usernames and passwords are stored locally in the identity database. And the other really important thing here to mention is that our customers tell us all the time that if they were to lose the data that is being stored in our software, that could mean the end of their business because if they lose their information, that's the lifeblood of their company.
Yeah, and that makes totally sense. So, yeah, thanks a lot for all the information that you provide. So, now I wanted to understand a little bit more about your key challenges that you have right now with your current architecture.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably the biggest challenge is that we are spending so much time supporting these on-site deployments of our software. So if anything goes wrong with any of the servers, the network, the database, we have a technician out there working on it. So since we're stretched so thin, supporting the 20 customers that we have, we don't have much time to actually go in and add new features and build out a better product. Another big thing is with COVID and everything. I mean, it's changed everyone's lives, from the health club employees to those health club members. So health clubs are looking to us for better ways to support a hybrid workplace where maybe they have trainers that are delivering sessions remotely and other better ways to engage with their members whenever they're not physically coming into the health club. Another really big one that we'd really like to be able to fix here is that customers always seem to know about problems with our software before we know about those problems. And we'd like to go from a reactive support model where a customer calls us with a problem to a proactive support model where we know about the problem before the customer does, and we can just jump in there and fix it. Like a lot of other big companies right now, we're very concerned about security. We've heard a lot about ransomware attacks, identity theft in the news. So we really want to make sure that whatever we build is really locked down as far as the Azure side is concerned. And I think, probably the biggest concern for us right now, our CFO is very concerned about this, is that we don't even know how to sell SaaS. We're used to selling software, 1 to 5 year licenses. You buy a license, then it's yours. Going to this whole selling software through a subscription model, we don't know how to do it technically. We don't know how to do it, how to set up our pricing models. We're really looking for Microsoft's guidance in those areas.
Awesome, definitely, and we can definitely help you. And we know that COVID accelerates every company future plans, but tell me about yours. What are your future plans?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said a second ago, we want to do more to support a hybrid living and workplace. So, again, that's for the health club employees and their members as well. Like I said a second ago, our customers are looking for us for better ways to engage and understand their members. So, whatever we can do as part of this move to the cloud to give them those tools to better engage with their members is something that we definitely want to explore. Like I said a second ago, also, we are planning to grow to 100 plus clubs in the next year. And we have some longer term plans to grow internationally as well. So we're really hoping that Azure can help us out with that. And then we think that all these things kind of combine based on what we've been reading, that SaaS is the right next move for Fabricam Fitness.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you, Casey. SaaS model can help you with all the points that you mentioned before. Can accelerate the onboarding and help you to grow to 100 plus customer next year. Can help you with the cost through intelligent scaling in that Q1 that you mentioned when everyone decide to go to the gym. Also can definitely help you to reach that SLA that you target with high availability. Can also simplify the management, and instead of spending most of your time supporting customers with instead of supporting customer, you can dedicate that time to building new features. And of course can you can reach broader audiences, and yeah, among others. So basically SaaS in this case, it's the right solution, but SaaS is not for every business. We know that the path to shifting to software as a services, this kind of deliver model can be challenging from business and technical perspectives, but we can definitely help you there. But again, thanks a lot for all the
Excellent.
information that you provide. So moving forward, I wanted to understand and deep dive a little bit better on your current architecture. So we would like to understand more about how your typical on-premise deployment looks like today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we went ahead and we shared these architecture diagrams out with the Fast Track for Azure ISV team. This is what it looks like today on premises. So obviously, it is deployed within the customer's network. Might be there at the health club, might be at their data center. There is a Windows server hosting Internet Information Services (IIS), and that is hosting our ASP.NET Core web app. And then on the back end, they typically have a SQL Server setup, and we have two databases running inside SQL Server. We have the application database, which stores all of our member information, classes, that sort of thing. And then we have the identity database supporting ASP.NET Core identity. And interestingly enough, our engineers are already kind of diving into Azure to understand how it works and try things out, since we know that's the direction that we're going to be going. And they've already put together the same on-prem architecture in the cloud. So basically, we were able to mimic what we're doing on-prem in the cloud. So now all that we need to do is figure out how we do this over and over and over again for all of our customers. And what we really like about this is the fact that you have 60 regions or 60 plus regions around the globe. We really like the fact that we can take this and we can stamp it out in each one of those individual regions and really make it wherever it's closest to where our customers are. So we're really excited about this.
Wow, and this definitely looks great, Casey. So congratulations. But and let me ask you something. Does your team have some experience with infrastructure as a code?
Yeah, so we are starting to play around a little bit with Terraform. Actually, we have some engineers that have some experience there, and we're looking in ways to use Terraform on the Azure platform.
Great. And definitely with Terraform, you can automate the deployment of your infrastructure. And this is definitely a plus over what you have on premises. But let me mention something. You are still going to run into a lot of the same challenges that you did before.
What do you mean?
Well, for once, you are still responsible for managing this infrastructure. Sure, Azure has a lot of tools and services that make this easier, but at the end of the day, it's still on you to ensure that the VM, the operation system, the service, etc., are healthy. And as a matter of fact, our VM's SLA guarantee only that the VM is reachable. We don't guarantee that the site is reachable or the database is available.
So we're right back where we started again. Our ops still have to maintain each one of these individual environments.
Yeah, no necessary. And I think so that we can make this easier. So let's dip in a little bit deeper into the design session where we can provide you other alternatives through the success design of this solution that meets your business technology and needs. So let me show you something and let's talk about PaaS.
Pass? Where did all of our virtual machines go?
Well, with PaaS, Platform as a Service, you don't need to be worried about those machines, virtual machines, anymore. Instead, we, Azure, provided the app hosting and database as well as a service. We basically handle the underlying infrastructure that you and your team can focus on your app instead of taking care of the infrastructure.
But we'll need to go modify our app to do this, right? We don't have engineering capacity to do that right now.
No necessary. You mentioned that the web app was running in ASP.NET Core, right?
That's right.
Okay, then you should be fine there. App services support a variety of language, including Java, .NET, Node.js, PHP, among others. So, and are you doing anything special with SQL, like cross DB query, file stream, or service broker?
No, nothing special there, just basic CRUD operations, SQL queries against the backend database.
Then you should be fine there as well.
So we don't have any more VMs to manage.
No, you are totally right. No more VMs to manage.
Wow, this already looks a whole lot simpler. But what about our SLAs?
Well, glad that you asked. Now the SLA is at the platform level, which means that we guarantee that the web app and the database both are available. Essentially, we brought the SLA up a level from the infrastructure to the actual platform. So we take care of all the underlying infrastructure, so you don't have to be worried about it anymore. And both services, the app services and the Azure SQL, can allow you to reach that SLA target that you have when that you mentioned in the technical discovery.
Great.
Perfect. Now let me mention and let's talk about something else. Let's talk about identity. In the discovery, technical discovery, you mentioned that you are using a ASP.NET Core identity, and you are the one that manage all the usernames, all the passwords, etc. on your own. Is that right?
That's right. A few of our customers have come to us and asked for on-prem Active Directory integration, but we don't have the time to build it out.
Yeah, and we would like to get you out of the identity business and have you focus on your core business, that is Health Club. So, plus, managing your own identity can be dangerous. This can expose security vulnerabilities, for example, orphan account, backdoors, or unauthorized access, policy violations, among others. So, are you familiar with Azure Active Directory?
I think we are. That's what we use to log into Microsoft 365 Teams and the Azure portal, right?
Yes, that's right. And you can use Azure Active Directory to protect your own applications as well. It's called federated identity.
Federated identity?
Yes, Azure Active Directory basically allow users to bring their own identity with them whenever they go, whether it's Microsoft 365, Azure Portal, or even your own apps. Users can also bring their on-premise identity to Azure Active Directory through ID Connect, enable single sign-on across both on-premises and cloud-based environment. So instead of users having 20 different accounts logging across 20 different apps, they only have one identity federated across all their apps.
Guess I'm still a little bit confused.
All right, and I get it. So, how about this? Do you have a passport?
Yeah, I have a passport.
So, when you travel to another country, you show the border agent your passport to prove that you are who you say you are. Basically, you bring your own identity with you, right?
Yeah,
Well, that it's called authentication. It could be impossible for every country to have their own records of every visitors that arrived. So the border agent look at your passport to make sure that you are who you say you are. The border agent basically trusts your passport, but more importantly, the governance agency that provide it. So through your passport, your identity is federated. No matter where you travel, countries, the border agents, can look at your passport and confirm that you are who you say you are. Azure Active Directory doesn't use passport. Instead, they use JSON Web Tokens. That basically it's a token that it's kind of your password when you enter in an app.
that makes a lot of sense.
So after the border agent authenticates you through your passport, then they can decide if you can enter in the country or not. That's called authorization.
So make sure I just fully understand this. Basically, our customers issue their employees passports through Azure Active Directory. Instead of us trying to keep track of all these users, they show us their passport. I'm sorry, JSON Web Token, which we use to verify their identity. Then, based on that, we decide whether or not to let them in. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a lot safer. You take advantage of the identity services that Azure provides to you. You don't have to worry about all the logic and management behind the things. And also, what happens if a if an employee for consortium leaves? They no longer have an identity there, so no more passport, so they can't access to your app anymore. And talking about Contoso, Contoso right now it's your first tenant. So let's take a step backward to see how we can onboard additional tenants, additional customers. So, as you onboard additional customers, each of their own stamp, just Contoso, they have their own stamp, just Contoso. So, this is called single tenancy SaaS. In this model, your tenant, your customers, each have their own dedicated and compute and database resource. That basically it help to prevent the noisy neighbor problem.
The noisy neighbor problem?
Yes, yeah. The noisy neighbor problem. It's an effect that occurs when application use the majority of the available resources and cause the performance issues for the other applications that share the same infrastructure, the same resources. So in this case, each tenant, each customer, as I mentioned before, has their own stamp with a dedicated compute and database resources.
So this is single tenant SaaS, but I thought SaaS was multi tenant.
Well, yeah, it can be, but the two aren't the same. So, SaaS is talking about how you sell software as a service. Tenancy, it's more concerned about how those customers share resources in your environment. So, this single tenancy approach also gives you the flexibility to over each tenant for configurations. For instance, let me mention that if you have a customer that doesn't have Azure Active Directory, they can still use your platform because they are tenant and just their tenant is configured to support your traditional identity model.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm definitely learning a lot, but we're still having to maintain a bunch of these separate environments. So, I mean, really at the end of the day, it was running on prem, now it's running in the cloud, but what are we really getting out of this?
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you asked, and let me show you something. This is how it looks like your solution now in the cloud. You basically get a centralized management over each customer environment, regardless of where it's deployed, and it's all available on a single place.
Perfect. Tell me more.
Yeah, for example, let's talk about Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor makes it easiest to monitor your entire cloud estate. So, from your web app all to the way down to the underlying platform, from a single pane of glass. So, you can monitoring to learn about and address problems before your customer even realize that they are happening.
Yeah, I think they're going to love this a whole lot. And like I said a second ago, that's one of our big problems that the customers know about problems before we do. So if we can use Azure Monitor from one place, configure our alerts correctly, then hopefully we can stay on top of that and it'll be a better customer experience.
Exactly, exactly. And let me mention something else. Let's talk about security. I know that security is one of your main concerns also. Azure Sentinel, it's a cloud-native security and event management with advanced AI and security analytics to help you to detect, prevent, and respond to threats across your entire enterprise.
That makes a lot of sense, and that makes us feel a lot better about our security posture that we can use Sentinel to, you know, detect suspicious logins and to detect possible ransomware attacks. That sounds really great. But what about, I think you said earlier that we can use Terraform to automatically create these environments as well.
Yeah, and let's talk about pipelines. One of the challenges with going to SaaS, it's guarantee that you provision your customer's environment only when they need it, only when they pay for that. So this is a big shift from the work of tailing licenses. In this work, basically, you can provisioning resources only when your customer are paying for that, and tear them down when the customer leaves.
So you're saying that we can use Terraform to automatically create these environments as soon as a customer purchases our SaaS solution. And then whenever they're done and they don't have a subscription anymore, we can also automatically just tear them down and they go away.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And this is
Wow.
called continuous
Wow.
deployment. And you can use Terraform, as you mentioned, but also we have another tools like ARM template or Bicep, for example. And also, let me mention something else. You can use cost management to understand exactly where you are spending money. You can define budget, and also you can forecast your cloud spendings,
All from just one place.
all from one place, and doesn't matter how much customers you are hosting, 10,000 here in US all around the world, we got your back.
But still in this model, each one of these boxes is its own web app, its own database. We're still not, sharing the web app and the database resources, right? Are there further ways that we could be saving money here?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me show you something. This model, your customer can share the underlying compute and database resource. Basically, this allows to spread the cost of hosting all these underlying platform services across your customers. So it make even faster to onboard new customers since you don't have to provisioning any more infrastructure. This is called multi-tenancy SaaS.
Okay, so in this model, customers can still bring their own identities, their same passports to the same app.
Yeah, exactly. Just like those border agents we are talking about before, those border agents accept passport instead of issued by a lot of different government agencies. In this model, each of those agencies is Azure Active Directory tenant. So your app accept passport provided by Azure Active Directory tenant because, well, we trust in Azure Active Directory. But that doesn't mean that you have to let those customer in though.
Right, right. That's what you were saying earlier about authentication and authorization, where authentication is we're looking at their token, saying this is who you say you are, and then authorization is whether we decide to let them in or not. So they're still sharing the same web app, which is great. We're saving money there. But also, they're going to be sharing the same database. That seems dangerous.
It can be. That's why we use elastic pools. Each customer has their own dedicated database protected by its own set of unique encryption keys. But all of those databases share the same underlying pool of resources. Remember how early we talked about how spiky your customer use is?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Well, yeah, so Elastic Pool helps level out those spikes. So sometimes Contoso might be busy and consuming a lot of resources. Later, when they are less busy and another customer, like Adventure Works, can consume those resources as well. So you can set quotas on each database to ensure that even though unusual heavy loads, you can continue serving all your customers. Of course, you can manually scale each of these resources up and down to meet also your customer needs as well. But remember how early you mentioned that your customers are usually busiest on Q1, when everyone made their New Year's resolution to get in shape?
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Well, in that case, you can scale up during Q1 to meet that expected load, then scale back down when things start cooling off and people start going back to their old ways. But let me ask you something. What if you use Azure to uh, help to keep those members engaged on and coming back?
So you have some sort of Azure service that we can just wave a magic wand and it'll keep members coming back into the gym after those first 3 months.
Yeah, no, quite. But let me show you something. Now that you are in the cloud, there are a lot of sort of amazing things that you can do at scale. So, what if you can use AI and machine learning to poke the health club members at the exactly right time? What if you could reach out to the members that are working out more than usual and encourage them to keep coming?
So I see what you're getting at, and we've talked about this a little bit internally, and I agree it would be really, really, really cool. But we don't have any data scientists. We wouldn't even know where to start.
Well, maybe you don't need a data scientist. You can use community services anomaly detection to automatically detect when members are more or less active than usual. So, when if you could use this information to automatically build digital profile of these members so you can help your customer, I'm talking about the club, the health club, to engage with the members better without doing any kind of data scientist on your own. What if we could be your data scientist as a service?
That would be really amazing. And when we first engaged Fast Track for Azure ISV, we didn't even know that this sort of thing was possible.
Well, here at Microsoft, our goal is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. That means you, your customers, and your customers. So we build cognitive services to democratize AI and bring the power of machine learning to every organization on the planet. And taking it a step further, you can also leverage Azure communication services to reach those members through phone calls, text message, and also even team.
Our health clubs are going to absolutely love this. They're always looking for better ways to understand and engage with their members.
Well, on that understanding part, you can also leverage Power BI to build a rich, engaging dashboard and reports that your customer can use to better understand their own businesses. And also, yet they can plan to the future. So, when they are busiest, why our customers leave, which exercise are the most popular. Imagine empowering your customers with that information whenever they need it as a service.
That sounds great. And it sounds like we chose the right partner here to help us go build this out. So I'm in. I'm in. Let's go do this SaaS thing. But how do we sell this? We're back to that original problem.
Well, and again, that is a great question, and we can definitely help you with that. A good pricing model ensures that you remain profitable, so we know how important it is. And there are a lot of ways to sell this. Here are some of them, and the one that we see a lot before and the one that we use. So you have consumption based pricing. This model basically refers to pay as you go. As the use of your services increase, your revenue increase. Then you have a per user pricing model that basically involves charging your customer based on the number of people using your services. But also you have the monthly active user. That it's similar to per user pricing, but rather than requiring an upfront commitment from the customers on the number of the user expected, the customer is only charged for users that actually log in and use the solution for a period of time. Also, you have per unit. We know that in many systems, the number of user isn't the element that has the greatest effect. So, on those cases, per unit pricing model can be useful, where you define what is that unit that could be such devices. Then you have service or feature base that you can choose to offer your solution with different tiers of functionality at different price point. And finally, you have the freemium that you can offer a free tier of your services with basically functionality for a period of time for the customer to know about your solution.
That's great. So this makes a whole lot of sense. So basically, for the per user on our side, that would be per health club employee, right?
Yeah.
And the per monthly active user, I like that one a lot because a lot of the employees at the health clubs are temporary employees or like consulting personal trainers, that sort of thing. And that makes a lot of sense for our customers where it's not the same users using it over and over and over again. And it makes it seem like it's a little less risky for them. Per unit, so the unit really is whatever we define. The unit could be the number of locations for a health club. It could be the number of members for a health club. It could be the number of sessions they're hosting. It could really be anything. The service or the feature based option, that one's pretty straightforward. Like we can obviously charge for member management and we can charge for payment processing and have those be part of different plans. The freemium one is really interesting and it's one that we haven't really even thought about before. But as we're moving to the SaaS model, and we're trying to attract more health clubs. We think that might be a great option for us to attract those health clubs that aren't, quite sold on our software just yet. We can bring them in. We can give them some free trials, some free sample of that, and then after a while, kind of poke and prod them to upgrade to a paid plan. And I bet we can even use cognitive services to help us figure out when's the right time to go poke that customer and prompt them to upgrade their plan.
Yeah, and Casey, as you mentioned, one of our recommendations is to mix match the models to create the perfect one for you and your customers. So, yeah, that sounds great. But let me also show you
Perfect.
something else. You can also implement some commercial strategies to incentivize the growth through discount pricing. So, discount pricing can be used with consumption per user and per unit pricing models. And yeah, here you have some examples.
Yeah, this sounds great, and I think this will be great as we attract different size health clubs. But at the end of the day, still we are not set up to accept payment like this. These plans sound great, but we just don't have the engineering capacity right now, Sophia, to go implement our own subscription and e-commerce and manage the way that all that works.
Well, the answer to your question and to your problem is Marketplace. You can take advantage of the Microsoft ecosystem and sell your solution through the Azure Marketplace and transact with Microsoft.
This sounds great, and I think we looked at this at some point, but our CFO told me that the transaction fee is 20%. That's a little steep for us.
Well, now that was before. Now we only take 3% cut, like any other credit card transaction. So, and also you can take advantage of Monasas, that is a marketplace onboarding accelerator designed to help you to rapidly onboard transactable SaaS solution to the Azure Marketplace and the app source. And let me also show you something else. Today, we are announcing that Mona private preview program. So you can join to accelerate your journey to be a Transact SaaS solution into the Azure Marketplace.
Excellent, excellent. So just aka.ms/accelerate SaaS. That sounds great. Any other resources that Microsoft can make available to me on our SaaS journey?
Yes, and I wanted to show you this that is the Azure Development Kit, that it's an OSS reference implementation that, for example, your developers can take a look. This provides a simple multi-tenancy reference architecture and provides a lot of best practices related with how to onboard new customers, elasticity, billing, identity, security, monitoring, a lot of great things that you and your team can take advantage of.
Sounds really good. Any other reading material that you can send our way?
Yeah, and you have a lot of additional resources that are public available and you can take a look.
Great. Well, it sounds like Microsoft is going to be the right partner for Fabricant Fitness on our SaaS journey. Sophia, thank you so much for your help. We'd be totally lost if it weren't for your guidance.
Casey, it was a really pleasure to talk with you today. And yeah, thanks a lot for your time.
You as well. Thank you.